Welcome back. The NAACP is breaking a 116-year tradition of inviting the sitting president, to its annual convention. Earlier today, I spoke to the organization's president and CEO, Derrick Johnson, and we started with a conversation about how he views the just-passed presidential economic bill.
Well, what we're looking at is a massive transfer of economic opportunities for the wealthiest individuals on the globe. As we studied the bill, there'll be $930 billion in cuts to Medicaid, which is inclusive of care for our elderly, Affordable Care Act, and so many Americans who depend on the health benefits of our government to provide in their critical needs. So they can also give $910 billion in tax cuts. That's unconscionable. We're looking at a piece of public policy that takes us back to the Gilded Age prior to New Deal policies of 1932. It is unfortunate. We've tried this in this country before. It never benefits the majority of Americans. It always gives more profit and opportunities to the wealthiest individuals on the globe.
Derrick, as you well know, the NAACP convention is coming up. For the first time in its history, President Trump, meaning a sitting U.S. president, will not be invited. I came across some comments from Stephen A. Smith, who is a pretty prominent and vocal participant in our large American conversation about sports, culture, politics, and a lot of other things. And basically what he said was, if you don't invite him and you are ostracizing him, and if you're ignoring him, how does that advance anything that the NAACP is trying to accomplish? How do you respond to that criticism from Stephen A. Smith?
Anytime I'm looking for advice about sports analysis, sports commentary, I go and I will listen to him among others. But when it comes to politics, policy, and what we should do as an organization, he's the last person I will go to. It is really important for all Americans to understand the role of the NAACP is to make democracy work for all. We embrace the Constitution. We respect the contributions that everyone brings to the table. And what we've witnessed since January 20th is a president who issued multiple executive orders that are unconstitutional, and the courts have found that to be. We've witnessed an individual who have demeaned due process rights for human beings, regardless of their citizenship status. The Constitution is really clear. People should be afforded due process rights. We fight hard for the protection of all citizens. Equal rights under the Constitution is something that we strive for. We don't care whether you're black, white, male, female, or however. Everyone should be afforded with the same opportunities to participate. And if anyone decides that they don't believe that should be the case, they have not earned the right to stand on our stage.
And when Stephen A. Smith says, by not inviting Trump, you are shutting down potential dialogue, what do you say?
I'd say he's absolutely wrong. We invited him as candidate Trump in 2016. We invited him all 4 years when he was in office. He was invited in 2020 when he was back candidate Trump, and he has yet to ever accept the invitation. But this time, it's like, not only are we not going to waste the invitation, we don't want him on our stage because what he has done in the past, he displays the lack of discipline when he gets the microphone, and he does not respect the Constitution. We embrace the Constitution, and we would not invite anyone on our stage who simply cannot agree on the guardrails of a constitutional democracy, and that's something we don't see him respecting.
Derrick, I want to give you some statistics I'm going to guess you're pretty familiar with. 2016, 6% of black voters in America supported candidate Donald Trump. In 2020, 8% of black voters supported President Trump for re-election. In 2024, 15% of black voters supported President Trump. What does that movement, that near doubling of support from 2020 to 2024, tell you?
Well, first of all, African-American communities has never been a monolith in terms of our political approach. And political parties are nothing more than vehicles for agendas. Now, when it comes to the specific statistics you're providing, I've heard different statistics shared. I have yet to see any of it verified because exit polls have always been unreliable. Much of the polling we've seen over the last 20 years have been wrong on the outcome of the elections. And I've been trying to figure out where are these numbers coming from? Is it verifiable? But it's great talking points because people would like to show that there is momentum going in one direction versus another. At the end of the day, we settle our differences at the ballot box. And as a community, we agree the outcome of the election is the outcome of the election. Now, the real question for all of us is, what are the public policy priorities that would embrace all of America, advance America, and to ensure that we have a quality of life that's important? And what are the policies that's going to be advanced to divide America, create a negative environment like we have seen not only in the first days of this administration, but is coming back similar to what we've seen when he was in office before, a very negative environment that otherized communities.
Derrick Johnson, president of the NAACP, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.